Hello everyone, welcome to Ajiro Tech. Ajiro Tech. In this video, we're going to be learning chapter 5 of the Cambridge AS slash E levels, eSecurity. Okay, and in this video, you will be learning the following: what personal data is, why personal data should be kept confidential, how personal data can be kept confidential, the method used by unauthorized persons to gather personal data, how to evaluate the method of prevention, the types and uses of malware, the consequences of malware for organizations and individuals, and finally, how to prevent malware from entering computers. So stick with me on this. The first thing we look at is personal data. And when we talk about personal data, these are data that are unique to you. But let's put a definition to it. So right here on your screen, personal data is any information that relates to an identifiable living human being. Yeah. It's any information that can relate to an identified individual. Something that you can relate to a person that they can be identified by. And there are different pieces of information which are collected together and can lead to the identification of a particular person, which we're going to see in this video. It also means that any data that can be used to identify or recognize somebody is termed as personal data. Any. Of course, this data has been manipulated so that it does not allow an individual to be identified. We see that most of the time. You look at the DNA that has been manipulated and it should be bearing this name, but for some reason it's bearing is showing the identity of somebody else. Okay, so this is very, very important. Even if this personal data is de-identified, encrypted, okay, it is still seen as a personal data. So please, let's take note of that. Okay, de-identification. De-identification, what does it mean? Now, de-identification is a common strategy when trying to prevent a person's identity from being revealed. Okay, it's a common strategy when trying to prevent a person identity from being revealed. Items of personal data might be removed from a record, such as individual name. If the person could still be recognized from the remaining data, it will be possible to re-identify the data and add the removed data, for example, the name and backend. Okay, so in this case, these items are being manipulated so that it does not reveal or it prevents a person from identifying this individual. We looked at it in chapter 1 when we talked about encryption, and we said that data can be encrypted, data can be decrypted. Okay, so even if these personal data are encrypted, it's still personal data. Okay, it's still personal data, so we need to get this fact straight. Okay, pseudonymized data. In pseudonymized data is when, instead of removing the personal items of data, okay, instead of removing the personal items of data, they replace it with a temporary ID. Okay, this is what most teenagers do. Okay, yes, I have to say it. Yes, it is. And most people who are trying to fake that, they call it aliases. Okay, so you're removing personal data and you're replacing with a temporary ID. You're just manipulating it to, you have a picture, it shows your picture, but different items in that particular word data, such as your name, your date of birth, your origin. All those things are being manipulated in your ID. This means instead of seeing the person's name, you will see an ID which will mean nothing to you. The problem is, it is similar to de-identification. Somebody can recognize that individual from the rest of the record. They can replace the ID with the individual's name. Why the de-identification prevents a person identity from being reviewed, such as encryption. But in pseudonymized data, we see that this is removing personal items of data and you replace it with a temporary one. Okay, you have an ID that shows your picture but a different name. So in Ukraine, you're known as Slafford. In France, you're known as Lafont. In Spain, you're known as Ramos. Okay, in Nigeria, you're known as Chinedu. Okay, all right. Okay, even the US, you're known as Michael, or you're known as Boston. Okay, that's what we're talking about. Now, another thing I want to talk about is the General Data Protection Regulation, GDPR. Okay, General Data Protection Regulation. Now, the data that has been amended to make it appear anonymous in such a way that it becomes impossible to recognize the individual, then is no longer classed a personal data. Okay, so for this case, the the anonymity of the record must be irreversible. Now, we talked about the EU, talking about the European Union. Like many areas of the world, they have a set of rules governing protection of data. Together, they are called, that's why I told you, General Data Protection Regulation. Now, this promotes pseudonymization and anonymization of personal data. Now, organizations with personal data should use one or the other method to reduce the risk. What are the risks? What are those things? And you see this in your passport and other areas of IDs as well, and other IDs. One, your name and surname, a home address, an email address. Now, the email address could be the public mailing address like your Gmail, Yahoo, or your organization mail address. Okay, which in my case, I have a.ndi@educollege.org.ng. Okay, so it could be your name with the organization you're working with. Another one is an identification card number. Okay, every ID has a number. The next thing could be the location data. Okay, that is location data from a mobile phone, your location. Another one is an IP address. Okay, it could be an advertising identifier of your phone. Okay, it could also be held at hospitals or by doctors. Okay, this also symbolizes that they are unique to identifying a person, like your DNA, your gender. Keeping personal data confidential. How can we keep personal data confidential? Okay, now there are companies, organizations that store large amount of personal information. They have databases for companies that stores this information. Even your banks, they keep your personal data. That is the truth. Okay, you open an account with every important details, including to your home address. So it simply means that if they don't have a security measure in place, those informations can be leaked out. Now, the question might arise, why do we need to keep data confidential? Why? Why do we need to keep it? Now, the answer is very, very simple. It's right there on your screen. So we don't fall into the wrong hands, or we don't fall into what we call identity theft. People stealing your identity for themselves and carrying out devious acts. That's what it means. They can go with your identity to commit so many murderous acts, and you get arrested for doing nothing. Please don't get surprised. Please, because you've seen this in movies enough to believe that this is real. And the whole essence why I'm coming this way is because I want to be able to put down a lot of scenarios so that you can actually understand why personal details are confidential. And it's not, and also as learners who are watching this and maybe teachers, you can also know that personal details are very, very, very sensitive and they should be kept confidential. People can even go as far as withdrawing large amount of money from your bank, and it will look as if you were the one doing it. Identity theft is when a fraudster pretends to be another person online by using that individual personal information. And there's a popular name for it. Tell me in the comment section. Just type it in the comment section. We call it scam. You've been scammed. You've been scammed. That's the truth. In Nigeria, they call it Yahoo. Something. Call it Yahoo or something. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So this is very, very important. Fraudsters who have access to an individual personal data can use their login details to access their bank account or commit other types of fraud. I am also a victim of this. I've been robbed up of, and you're shocked. You're like, oh, but is the ICT guru? But most time they appear to be people that or accounts that have been hacked that look like your relative's account, and they use those accounts to chat you up, and you feel that it's your relative, not knowing that it's a hacked account, and you have to be careful. And it got to the point where I was told to send money to my relative, and I had to do that thinking she was the one, not knowing she wasn't. Probably I should have called. It was a long time ago. I've also seen my Facebook account being hacked. That's why I don't put my Facebook there, because it's hacked. My LinkedIn account was hacked one time. It took me a whole lot of process communicating with Microsoft to get it back. So these things are real. Okay, so they can make large withdrawals from your account, transfer between accounts, and the bank is thinking maybe it's you. So you have to be careful. Okay. Now, if a burglar obtains personal data such as your address and information about when a person is at work, what do? They can burgle the person's house. They can come to steal because they've obtained information about the person. So this is why organizations and businesses can take certain measures to ensure the confidentiality of data, to ensure that the data are strictly confidential. Okay, and also another key point, it is essential that personal information should only be seen by those people who are authorized to see it. Keeping data confidential is an essential part of organization responsibilities. These are key points I'm telling you right now. And one way to ensure that keeping data confidential is an essential part of organizational responsibility is encryption, which is the main IT technique used to ensure data are confidential in an online system. And anybody illegally accessing data will not be able to understand that data. Okay, they can still perform malicious activities like deleting data, but they cannot gain any information from it. And this is why this Data Protection Act that has been set, which are rules organization must stick to ensure that your data are protected. And they exist in most countries. Now, let's talk about those Data Protection Act. Okay. Now, here you see that a number of workers in organization still need to look at personal data of other individuals as part of their job. It is important that these workers maintain that confidentiality of, okay, is important. Now, recently I became a KYC validator to Pi. Okay, simply means I get to validate some people in Pi, but I see these details. I see their passport, I see their NIN and all these details, and I have a rule because I've signed that I don't have to share it. Yes, I'm working with personal data, but I don't have to share it. I don't have to do anything with it. I don't have to, take a screenshot of it for no reason. Okay. Now, organizations can encourage workers to be aware of their responsibilities. It is very important for them to go to the terms and conditions, for them to ensure that all these things are put in place. Workers who deal with confidential information about other individuals have a duty of confidence. Yes, they do have a duty of confidence. okay, both to the individual and also to their employers. It simply means that in Data Protection Act, they must not use the information for any reason except with permission of the person who gave it. Okay. Okay. So a duty of confidence can exist. A worker must treat the information as confidential, or it must be obvious to them that the information is given in confidence. Okay. In order for this to happen, workers are often asked by their employers to sign an agreement to this. Of course, this is called a confidentiality agreement, which is what I signed with Pi. Organization must be held responsible for their decision to pass on information. Okay. Good practice is making sure that only the least amount of information that could identify an individual is passed on. Online services, particularly online banking and shopping, allows organizations to have access to private data such as name, addresses, phone numbers, financial records, and so on. So this information should not be passed on from organization to organization, that is to third parties. We call them third parties, without due authorization from the individual. So this is very, very important. Organizations should leave out as many personal details as possible, okay, if you're going to pass on that. Now we talk about aggregated information. It's another way of preventing individuals from being identified. Now this is where the personal details of a number of people are combined to provide information without individually identifying anybody. Okay, so we have the personal details of numbers of people are combined to provide. So these details are combined together. Okay, with this information, you cannot really identify anyone with it. Okay, so please, it's very, very important. Keeping personal data secured. Okay, before we talk about that, let's talk about metadata. It's very, very important. Now, the photos and videos people take with their smartphone contains information known as metadata, including the time, the place they were taken. If these photos are intercepted, the individual address or where the work can be discovered. However, smartphones do have softwares which can be used to either delete the geotag from images or disable them so that they are not tagged. So please, let's also take it's not like you're just going around taking pictures. I know it's the festive season, you want to go around taking pictures, but you have to be careful. Okay, so keeping personal data secured. There are numbers of ways in order to keep personal data secured. We'll talk about firewall. Now, we'll talk about firewall. Firewall are designed to prevent unauthorized network access. Okay, they're just designed to prevent unauthorized network access. Organization might store personal data, okay, that tend to have several computers that form networks, many of which are connected to the internet. Now, without a firewall, these computers can be accessed by unauthorized users through the internet. So what the firewall does, okay, is to examine data coming into the network and to see if it's allowable. The data coming into the network, is this something that we can identify, or is it just anonymous? And if it's anonymous, please reject. It also examines data packet. Okay, something you see in IUCC O level in chapter 4 of your textbook, talking about the networks and the effects of using them. And we'll talk about data packet. These are chunks of data that are broken down into smaller pieces of information. That's what data packet is. Okay, smaller pieces or data that have been broken down into smaller pieces of information, such as your IP address. You see, that's why you have can I have a okay, yes, come in. Yeah, so you have, for example, you have 120.48.68, etc., etc. Okay, so please, let's take note of that. An IP address, talking about internet protocol, is a combination of numbers that can identify each computer in the network. So if it's an IP address that is not allowed, the firewall can block the traffic. It also prevents certain computers from gaining access to the network. Now, okay, finally on firewall, yes, firewall do prevent hackers from accessing networks. However, a hacker computer is prevented from accessing the network. The hacker could physically steal a computer that is permitted to access the network. So that does not even stop people from accessing the network. They could gain access to a computer that have access to the network. So it is one way to prevent, but still not the only method that is reliable in ensuring that those informations are safe. Penetration testing. A penetration testing is also referred to as a pen test. Now, this is when companies employ somebody to deliberately attack their computer network. We call it ethical hacking. Okay, so they do this so that the authorized hackers will identify the weakness in their system security, and the computer can then take measures to improve it if necessary. This is what LinkedIn is doing. This is what Microsoft is doing. This is what Facebook is doing. This is what X is doing. Talking about Twitter, Elon Musk. Yeah, it's old news. Okay, so if you're watching this for the first time, like, oh, what's X? Is formerly known as Twitter. Okay, okay. So we call it a penetration test. They employ people, these hackers. I'm going to pay you money. Try to hack into our system. Even banks, they do that. Try to hack into our system. And okay, you did that. Okay, and they try to improve it. They tell you try to hack to it again. So all these things is to ensure that the computer network is powerful enough to withstand any form of penetration from hackers. Okay, now the whole purpose of doing this is to enable companies to secure data from illegal hackers who will attempt to gain unauthorized access to the system. Okay, authentication technique. Now, authentication technique is also to prevent accessing a computer network, and for you to do that, users are usually required to log on. Yes, not log in, log on. Okay, so this means that they have to identify themselves to the system, and so that it can be sure it is not a hacker trying to gain access. It is called authorization because it's a way to validating a person. Okay, and one way to do that is with what we call a user ID and a password, which the user knows. Another way is swiping a smart card, which belongs to the user. It can be a magnetic stripe card. It could be an RFID card. Okay, so yes, but you have to swipe it. Okay, and these informations are stored in the card. The next one is using biometric data. And biometric data are unique to the user. They have a unique physical characteristics of that user. And biometrics involves the following: your fingerprint, your iris, your retina, your voice, okay, recognition, as much as that's something that they have that unique physical characteristics of the user, okay, which is the most or the best way of providing or preventing people from accessing certain networks or certain information in that network. It's quite expensive, but it's one of the best methods so far. Okay, now it also if only one of this method is used, it will suggest that the system is not totally secured. So we have what we call factors authentication or multiple factor authentication. While we've looked at here as authentication technique, we also have multiple factor authentication. That simply means using more than one authentication method to ensuring that the data are secured. I've been saying a lot of things. I hope this makes sense. Okay, now at least two should be used when accessing personal data. For example, when somebody withdraws money from an ATM, they have to use something that belongs to them, their bank cards, and something only they know, their PIN. So if using only the bank card without the PIN, then Although we do have contactless cards, okay, so don't get me wrong, we do have contactless card, and if you have it, you have to be careful. Okay. Now, yes, small transactions are carried out with a contactless card. Okay, so even if it's stolen, you're safe, but it's painful, but you're safe. Okay. Okay, so we call that a two-factor authentication. Okay, and also sometimes referred to as multiple or multi-factor authentication that involves more than uh, two methods. Then again, when using online banking, additional information such as the user date of birth is often required. When a customer carries out certain transactions using a smartphone, some banks will send a one-time PIN, we call it OTP, or password in the text message for them to enter as part of the authentication process. During the logon process, keyboard presses can be detected by spyware. So drop-down options are often used for dates or pins to be entered. So we have to be careful about that one. We have the next one is levels of access. If a hacker do gain access to a network, the ability to retrieve personal data can be limited by network settings created by the network manager. Now, different groups of users can be granted different levels of access to the data on the network. This is particularly the case with hospitals and also in federal security systems, agencies, where we call them levels of clearance. You only have clearance for level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5, level 6. Okay, so even if the level 2 is hacked into, they can only have access to only the informations provided for level 2. Okay, now another example is the use of online shopping websites that requires a login. Customers will only see data that is relevant to them. However, if a programmer employed by a company access the customer database, they'll be able to view all the accounts. This is because they have been given a higher level of access than the customers. With social networks, it is the owner of the data that can grant different levels of access. Okay, there was one time I do have a page, and in my page I can add other moderators that can do other things on the page. Okay, so it's still the same thing, it's still that level of access that we're talking about. Even on my YouTube, as a YouTube creator, I can give certain level of access to people to work in the background. Okay, now for example, talking about social networking like Facebook, LinkedIn, your Instagram, your X. Okay, now they can be given the owners of data can grant different level of access. It is possible to amend settings so that only friends are allowed to see their data, or they allow both friends and friends of friends to see their data. Okay, most of my friends across continents, they use friends of friends. So it means that for you to be able to see their information, you have to be a friend who is a friend in their contact. Okay, so on the other hand, if the settings is public, it simply means that it can be seen by anyone. So whenever you're posting, you have to be careful, because you have the option of making it public, making it only your friends, or making it friends of friends. Okay, allocating different access levels to different group within the information that the different group can see and the actions they are allowed to take. Now, for network policies, there are a set of rules, okay, that allow companies to choose who is allowed to access their computer network. So this is a policy, and control their use of the network once they gain they've gained access to it. Now, every organization have policies, including networks. Okay, so the policy means that they have a rule. Okay, so if a company is coming on board, there are certain levels to, we've talked about the levels of access on how they can use it. So it allows access to their computer networks, and they control the use of the network once they gain access. Most companies now use the internet to carry out their business transaction. As a consequence, their computer network have become vulnerable to attacks, which is not a good thing. As a company, don't use the internet. This attack can allow competitors to gain knowledge of their operations. They can result in data being destroyed or provide access to any personal data that is stored. When workers join a company, they are normally required to sign an agreement, such as acceptable use of policy. This specify what type of use is acceptable and what is not acceptable. They have agreed not to use the network for illegal, unethical, or distracting non-work related activity, such as downloading copyrighted materials or spending time on social networking sites to communicate with friends. Why not necessarily what preventing hackers from outside the organization attacking the network? It does have to limit what employees might be tempted to do with personal data. So in the whole essence of network policy is there are companies that or rules that can allow companies to choose who is allowed to access their computer network, and they control the use of network once they gain access to. And a good examples are the intranet, okay, which is a private network, okay, and this is what banks are making use of. Software update. Okay, now what we are talking about here is let's talk about software updates. Okay, now software updates, okay, simply means you're updating a computer's operating system. They are made available for different types of application softwares. Although these updates are meaningful in eliminating bugs and making the software easier to use. Software update talks about new features that are added to that particular software. Probably their most useful function is when they eliminate specific security weakness. If weaknesses are present in an operating system, hackers can take advantage of this in order to access the computer system. As soon as a major software update is made aware of any vulnerabilities, they produce update which eliminate that risk. This is what the iOS is. I have to give kudos to the iOS because they are very active in updates. Okay, currently now at the time of recording this video, there's an update iOS 17.02 or 17.2. Okay, and now there's even a future update of 17.03 because of something they are foreseeing and stuff like that. So all this is helpful to ensure that your system is up and running and any form of vulnerability is probably being eliminated. It is important for user to install update as soon as possible in order to limit the amount of time hackers have to find and exploit these weaknesses. Now, if an application is left without update for a long time, more hackers may become aware of their vulnerabilities and use that information to gain access to personal information. For example, the operating system, the Windows operating system 7, they've stopped giving update. So it simply means that people who are still using it to carry any form of important transactions, they are vulnerable to attacks. Okay, so this is very, very important. Other measures. What are other measures? Okay, the other measures like encryption, which has been discussed. It simply means rendering those data meaningless to anybody who sees it in a public space. Okay, now another method which relates to mobile network or concern to the remote deletions of mobile phones or tablet data. Now, if a device is lost or stolen, the owner can send a command to it using another phone that can completely remove any data. Now, for my phone, because I use an iPhone 13 as of the time of recording of this video. Okay, so what happens is this. Okay, my phone is linked to my siblings' phones. Okay, and this is possible with the use of Find Me. Okay, and other softwares as well to ensure that they can be able to track my location in real time. Okay, and they go as far as having access to my phone remotely. I'm not going to tell you my siblings. Okay. Okay. All right. Tell me. Okay. Okay. So it's easier for them to just keep track. And when I leave a certain location, they are being notified as well. Oh, you've left this location. What happened? So the way of keeping track, including my AirPod and other Apple ecosystems. This is one good thing about the Apple ecosystem. Okay. Now, okay, any of the individual data that is not backed up on the cloud will be lost forever, but it does not mean that the person who has stolen the phone will be unable to see any of the owner's personal data. That is why the iCloud is very, very important. And me, I was a believer of not backing up, but recently I've started backing up. Okay, it's really not expensive. Okay, you can go for the 50 gig is actually small, so I would prefer the 200 gig or the 2 terabytes monthly, so that you can be able to back up your details in the cloud. Okay, so it's very, very important. Now, any of the individual data that is not backed up with the cloud will be lost forever. We've talked about that. In order to receive the command to erase all the data, the device has to be turned on or connected to the internet. If a device is lost at an airport or a rail station, for example, the task of wiping the device may be straightforward. However, if whoever has stolen it wants to stop that from being removed from the device, all they have to do is turn it off, remove the SIM card, and switch it back on again. And any personal data stored on the phone is now available. But this is not the case really for iOS phones. Whether your SIM card is removed, whether it's switched off and turned on, even when it's turned off, it can still be wiped off. This is one fascinating thing about the Apple. Maybe I do a video to show you how this can be done. So even if your iPhone is stolen and you switched off, you can't reach it, you can still wipe the phone to ensure that it becomes unusable for the person. Okay, it's stolen, I can't use it, they can also use it. Okay, now, so this is very, very important. Okay, preventing misuse of personal data. How can we prevent the misuse of personal data? Now, it's important to consider how personal data can be gathered by persons who are not supposed to have access to it before we can talk about preventing. Many students think that hacking into a computer in order to copy, delete, or change data is very easy. It's not. It's not easy. With all the security measures outlined above, it is very difficult. However, there are other ways in which personal data of an individual can be gathered by an unauthorized person. And in this video, we're going to atomize and talk about the most common methods. Number one on the screen is farming. When we talk about farming, it simply means that computers connected to the internet all have a file called host files. Okay. Computers connected to the internet all have a file called a host file. This is a basic text file which contains the name and IP address of a numbers of URLs. When the user types a URL into a web browser, what the computer does is first look into the host file to find that URL. It then looks up the corresponding IP address and seeks to connect to the computer with the IP address. If it cannot find the IP address in the host file, it connects to the DNS server and looks for it, right? If it's there, and use the IP address to access the appropriate computer. Now, farming begins with a user downloading malicious software without realizing they have done so. Now, what do we mean by downloading malicious software? It could be like a game for all the gamers out there. Oh, I love this game. And this game might just be a Trojan horse. Okay, it might not be genuine, and by downloading it, or it can be attached with it, and by downloading it, you've downloaded the malicious software. The software can then corrupt the host file by adding URLs of banks. For example, to the host files and corresponding IP address, which will take the user to fake websites when they enter the URL. The user can then proceed to type in their bank details into the fake websites, giving the fraudsters all the information he or she needs to access the original site. Okay, now you see how how funny that is. It's true. For example, I make use of Access Bank, so I'm just going to type Access Bank PLC. Okay, so let's do Access Bank. Okay, so if I click on Access Bank PLC, okay, now it's going to show this right here. This is Access Bank. Okay, and then you have the option of clicking to internet banking if it's an individual or a business. Okay, so obviously I'm making of an individual account. Okay, I'm making of an individual account, and the information is going to load. Now, what happens if by typing ibank.accessbank.plc, instead of displaying or something like this, or you're typing Access Bank PLC, it's going to display a replica of this, and where you have to put in you have to key in, or you want to log in as much as possible, you're seeing something that looks like an Access Bank, but it's not really an Access Bank. And if you don't know how genuine or or you're not familiar with your interface of that bank, you might be tempted, okay, get this, you might be tempted to key in your banking details. Okay, this is how it looks like it. You can proceed to log in. Now, this is how the Access Bank looks like. Now, there could be a farming that looks exactly like this, but it cannot exactly look like this. There has to be a replica. So maybe this becomes an Android phone. Okay, and if you're not careful, you key in your username. So what's my username? I'm going to say Ajiro Tech. It's not my username. Don't try it. It's not going to work. Okay, so don't do this. And the password is 1 2 3 4, and the password is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Now most of you will be doing this exactly with me. Come on, this is not my password. Okay, and when you click on sign in, you see it's signed in. So assume it's signed in. Okay, just assume it's signed in. Okay, assume it's signed in. Okay, so if this is not the genuine site and you click in the username and password, what happens? The owner of the farming is notified. The programmer is notified that, oh, this is your username and password, and it's going to log in with the main website, and it's going to do a lot of mayhem with it. Okay, it's going to do a lot of mayhem with it. Okay, so please, it is very, very important. Okay, so please, let's take note of that. Okay, another type of farming is when the fraudster hacks into the DNS server and corrupts the file on that computer, again causing the user to be redirected to a fake website. So each time you type it, it redirects you to another site that looks like that site. In both cases, the user will not realize that they have been tricked, since they will have typed in the correct URL. So you've typed in the correct URL and you've seen another site. So if you're not careful, okay, that's why whenever you're going to a site, you have to check how genuine the site is. Now, if I come here, notice that there's a padlock. This padlock talks about that this connection is secure. Most of these farming sites are not secured. They are not secured. So you have to be careful. Now you can see that tracker 5 has been blocked. Okay, has been blocked on this site. So you have to be careful. People want to access it. Okay, or maybe I want to put in my information. You have to be careful. Okay, so please, this is very, very important. And probably that's why we are also having this class as well. Okay. Okay, there are numbers of ways to limit the chances of farming. Though none of this will completely prevent it, but using an up-to-date antivirus is going to help. It's one way to prevent it. Okay, which will prevent downloading of software which change the host file. User needs to make sure that they install the latest software update. An up-to-date browser can cause an alert to be raised that a fake website has been loaded. Now I have an extension. Okay, on my Google Chrome that shows me sites that are genuine and sites that are not genuine. That can also help you. It is also sensible to use a trusted, legitimate internet service provider. Also, digital certificates can be checked to make sure that the site is legitimate. Any site that requires the entry of personal data should begin with this. We talked about this. Your hypertext transfer protocol secure. It should be secured. Okay, it should have this. This means that if you click this, it means that the connection is secured. Most farming websites, I repeat, most farming websites are not secured. And if you don't know the difference between HTTP and HTTPS, there's every chance that you're going to fall prey to this. You have to be careful. Okay, you have to be really careful. Okay. Now, if it does not, it might well be a fixed site. Particularly if it has not gone, if it does not have a colored padlock icon next to it. It may be useful to check the URL is indeed correct for that site. The actual fixed website may tell telltale signs such as poor grammar or spelling, or they should alert the user that it may be a fake website. The next one is phishing. Now, these things I'm talking about, I've been able to talk about it in the O level, but because it's the A level, we're just talking about it in more in depth. So please go on with me. Okay. Now, for phishing, it's when the fraudster tries to obtain personal banking details, such as username, password, credit card details, debit card details, using email. We're talking about farming that redirects you to a fake website. Phishing, on the other hand, is going to obtain personal details using email. They pretend to be an official of the bank and leave a message which often directs user to enter personal information into fake websites. So they send you an email looking as if they're Access Bank, but truly, in retrospect, they're not. Okay, and they tell you to put in your information. Even my bank, Access Bank, will tell me that they do not tell you or ask you for your PIN. How would they ask you for your PIN? Now, people who fall into this pair ask this question: how would the bank that knows your PIN ask you for your PIN? It's like your dad asking you for your name. Like your dad calling you up, "Hey son, what's your name?" And you'll be like, "Dad, Mom," because they know your name. They gave birth to you. They gave you your name. So asking, asking you of your name should raise a red flag. Yes. Oh, Dad. Okay, my name is Cynthia. Okay. my name is Ajiro. Why will I have to tell them my name? They know my name. This is what it is in farming and fishing, in all this fraudulent way of obtaining your personal information. Okay, and into a fake website which will look exactly like a legitimate website. It involves the use of an email in an attempt to get people to disclose their personal information. An email that often includes a link to fake websites, inviting the receiver to go on that site. Some they tell you that it's a promo, some they tell you that it's this. Some more primitive email just asks the recipient to be typing the bank details in a reply to the email. Others are more subtle than this, with the email containing something that instantly grabs the recipient's attention and requires them to take immediate action. Okay, it can be a message that tells them that they have won a lottery. I remember one time years back, when they sent a message to my mom that she has won, was it 6 million on the gala promo, because she has a store then, and she was so excited, like, son, I've won 6 million. And so they told us to get Lacasera. No offense to Lacasera if you, but it's true. Okay, they said we should get a bottle of Lacasera, and we're celebrating that we've won, that my mom has won 6 million. And my other brother was like, "You've won 6 million. What did you do?" Okay. Me, I was young back then. Okay, forgive me for being naive then. Obviously, I never thought I would be a computer teacher. Okay. Okay. And And my other brother was like, what did you do that you won 6 million? Did you do anything? He said, no, since we have a shop, we buy. Like I said, no, you have to do something. You didn't do anything, and they told you what. Okay, so we called them. Okay, when can they be delivered? When will the money be sent to our account? So they said we should send 1 million naira to them, so they can do a lot of process, and they can process a lot of things, and then they can send the 6 million to us. Now that was where young me was straight up. I was straight. I was put straight. Because why will I send you 1 million when I've won 6 million? We don't ask other questions, do we? Why will I pay for an item that I've not even seen? And it's not a trusted website. It doesn't have any integrity. Why do I have to send you money? This is a lot of things that people fall into scheme. Why will I have to send you money so that the containment can be shipped into my country when we don't have any integrity? I don't know who you are, and by reason of familiarity, I don't know your company. I've never been to your company. Why would I do that? And just like my mom, why would she send 1 million to have 6 million? If now this is what everybody should be right now. I know you're watching this and you're asking the same question. If I've won 6 million, why not use 1 million? Literally, why not use 1 million that I've won? Okay, 1 million out of the 6 million, like really, right? 1 million out of the 6 million, and use it. Okay, fine. I'm not selfish, right? Take the 1 million, give me 5 million. I think I'm being fair. Okay, so why do I have to send you 1 million? And that was where we stopped. We just, it was good time for family to celebrate. We needed that bonding together to celebrate, togetherness. It was good memories. But, well, it had its perks. The celebration came to an end, but the memories is always going to be with me. Okay? So, yes, it's very, very important. Okay, so it can be a message that they have told you that you've won a lottery. I need to put your personal information to claim your prize. Please don't put in your personal information to claim any prize. The message can contain a link to an email where they must have sent the information, in addition to giving out their personal information, which could lead to what? Identity theft. The recipient is then asked to send money. See it, to send money to cover the sender's fee. Then they will receive their winnings. Why will I do that? Another type of phishing email inform the recipient that their account has been closed or blocked, and they need to log in to unblock the account. Yes, please take note of that. Please always see. Now this is one thing. When you're logging to a website, always check the URL. I've talked about, please, I know you're A-level, right? You're A-level students. I get that. But there's a video on O-level chapter 10 on communications where I talked about the URL, how to just slice in the URL so you know which in which. Okay? So it's important to know this. Here you have your protocol, and here you have the domain name. Okay? So the domain name is very, very important. This is Amazon. It should be Amazon, not Amazon N. So you have to check it. Sometimes it looks like the website, but the URL is different. Sometimes they tell you that your account has been blocked and you need to log in to unblock it. Please, always make your findings. Call your bank. If they're asking you for any information, call your bank. I do that all the time. Now for Access Bank, they have an online system. Okay, if you're an Access Bank, I'm not advertising them. I'm not an ambassador or anything. I'm not advertising them. But Access Bank, same school. Okay, so you can click on it, and there you can be able to talk to. You can have a live chat with any of the agents. Chat with a live agent, and then you can communicate the problems that you're having. Or you can go to any of the nearest branch. Okay, and then you can make your complaints. Please don't fall to any of the scam. I'm begging you. I've heard some students saying, I fell victim to this. Please don't. And this is why anything I'm doing, even for my YouTube channel, I do it for my YouTube channel directly. not from anything. I do it for my YouTube channel, so you know that it's from me, coming from me. Okay, all right, okay. Now, in order to avoid falling victim to this phishing scam, there are several things a user computer can do. It is important to use anti-phishing software on a computer connected to the internet. This identifies any content that could be interpreted as phishing contained in websites or email. It can block the content and usually provide the user with a warning. It tells you before you click on it, this site is a phishing site. It is often found within the web browser or email software. Not all web browsers provide this facility. That's why we have the Microsoft Edge, we have Google Chrome. Okay, I use these two web browsers, and they have been trusted. The Google Chrome is from Google. The Microsoft Edge is from world-renowned Microsoft. Okay, so you can go to bed with this. Okay, so you don't have to just download any you don't have to download any web browser that you just find that you find in the internet, on your Play Store, or your App Store. Please don't. It's a good idea to always have an antivirus and also an anti-spyware software running on your computer to update it at regular intervals. Very, very important. Another thing about phishing emails, they often contain grammatical or spelling mistakes. We saw that here. They have a grammatical or spelling mistakes. That is the way to distinguish it from the real one. Okay, it's important to look out for this. Users should never trust emails that come from people whose names you do not recognize. If an email looks suspicious, it is best practice to just delete it. Reputable companies or organizations will never ask for personal information. Never. Take this from me. Never. So it's usually a sign that it's a phishing email, and again, should not be trusted. The best action to take is probably deletion. If an email starts "Dear customer," rather than using the receiver's name, it should be treated with caution. I have mails from my bank that calls my name, not "Dear customer." Why would you tell me "Dear customer"? I've registered in your bank. You should know my name. Okay, I'm using Access Bank. They should know my name. Okay, both in my local bank and also for my international bank is Access Bank. Okay, so it should be treated with caution, as such emails asking the recipient to confirm their personal or financial information could be seen as a phishing. Okay, smishing. Now, smishing is a variation of phishing. Now, the major difference is that why for the phishing it makes use of email, the smishing makes use of an SMS. Okay, text messages. Rather than emails to send the message, rather than using an email to send the message, they use a text message to send the message. You get a text message from Access Bank. Okay, or from any of your local banks in your country. Okay, asking you to reply, or not just reply, there's sending you a link that you have to click on the link, because most time these text messages do not reply. So they send a link for you to click on the link, and then you have to put in your personal information. Please don't. The numbers of smishing attempts have increased since the introduction of smartphones. So it is so easy to activate a link within a text message, just as with phishing. The main intention is to get the recipients to reveal their personal data. Okay, now there's a perception that among most people that smartphones are more secure than laptops or PCs. That is not even a perception. Every system is vulnerable. Okay, with smishing is a text message that is sent to your smartphone, which has increased the type of scam that many people have become vulnerable to because of their smartphones on their hands. Okay, some fraudsters are using text messages to get users to download an attachment which contain malware. In turn, can feed personal data from their phone back to the fraudster. A smishing message is similar to phishing messages. It also includes a fake website, okay, or it can just type the recipients to simply type in their bank details in order to reply to the text. Most time they tell you to reply to the text or to call a number. They tell you, oh, you have won something, call this number. Don't call. If I want something, why will I have to call a number? Duh. Okay. Okay. Why will I have to call a number? Why not call me, tell me to come, or come directly to me, okay, make a public announcement on TV where I can see it that I've actually won something. Why do that? How can I win a 6 million and you cannot even have the integrity of putting on the TV, on the newspaper? You want to give me 6 million? How much? Okay, I know I'm joking about, but it's true. You want to give me 6 million? How much will it take you to put me on TV or to put my name on TV or newspapers? Oh, it's expensive, but you can give me 6 million and I have to send 1 million to you. I'm taking this personal. Okay, forgive me. I don't want to take this personal because yes, they nearly scammed my mom. And I was like, and funny me, I was celebrating with her. We're all celebrating thanks to my senior brother who was well matured to be able to say, how did you even win it? Now, in my time, back then, it was smishing, not phishing. Yes, it was sent as a text message. Okay, back then there was no internet. Okay, so internet was not popular then. And smishing is been long way back. It's not a new thing. And we're celebrating, and finally the celebration came to a halt the moment they told us to sell 1 million. Okay, how do you even know we have 1 million? Okay, how do you even know we have 1 million? Okay, so you have to be careful. You have to be careful. Okay, you have to be careful. So please, this is very, very important. Okay. Now, the message usually contains a link to an email address where they can send this message. You can ask them to take financial reward. Okay, to take immediate action. It can be a message to tell them that they are entitled to a financial reward. Sometimes it contains a phone number asking the recipient to phone the bank organization using that number. I don't even do it. We've talked about this. When they phone, then they are asked for their personal details. Why would you ask me for my personal? You know, there was one time I got a call. Okay, don't laugh. Don't laugh. So I got a call one time, an SMS. Also, they told me to call the number. It was pretty much idleness. Okay, idleness is bad. It's bad. And they told me to call this number that I want something. So I called the number and like, okay, who is this? I was introducing myself. This is a result of idleness. I was just, okay, introducing myself. They said, okay, fine. They're going to send an OTP, a code. They didn't know I knew it's an OTP. A code that they want to activate the transfer to my bank. Now, they said I should call the code for them. Okay. This was where I became very, very spiritual. Okay. I became very spiritual. I brought out my Bible and I opened to John 3:16. For gospel of the word. Yeah, I opened it. And so I was like, okay, J3:1:16. They said, no, it's all numbers. I said, fine. It's all numbers. Okay. I opened to Matthew 26, verse 26. Okay. I was just open. So 26:26. They said it's wrong, please. I said, fine, no problem. John 13:35. 13:35. They said it's wrong. I said, I want to win this. I really want to win this. I was just messing around that day because trust me, I called them. They called me back. So it was more or less their airtime, not mine. So let's get the story straight. So I had time to spare. Okay. So please, let's be careful. Okay. There are plenty of methods of prevention. Many digital security companies produce mobile protection software which users would have running on their smartphones. Users should also look out for all the same signs as in phishing attempt, such as spelling and grammatical errors, messages requiring immediate action or other financial reward, sign up now, or other pushy, or something that is too good to be true. See, if it's too good to be true, It probably is. They should never reply to such messages. Good practice is to open the sender's website itself rather than replying to a text with the personal information included in it. A sensible action is to check the sender's phone number against the phone number of the company. What I do when I get such text messages, now there's what we call Truecaller. So Truecaller.com, although it's not really active on the iOS, I go to Truecaller.com and I put the number there, and to my surprise, you see that people have reported that to be what? Spam. So please, Truecaller is worldwide. So again, if you have any suspicious numbers that you're not sure whose number it is, you can go to Truecaller.com and then type in the number there. It's going to reveal the name and then other reviews concerning that number. Okay. Now, again, users should never type in personal or banking information other than when using an organization's official website. Receiver of a text should not click on links from sender they do not recognize. They should not click on any link in a text message since it is safer to type the URL into a browser. Okay? They should not phone any number contained in the text message. Don't phone. Don't make any call. Okay? Please. The next one is phishing. Okay, I can close this. Now, phishing is a combination of the word voice and phishing. Yes. Combination of the words voice and what? Phishing. As its name implies, it is the practice of making a phone call in order to get someone to divulge their personal or banking details. So you're making a phone call in order to get someone to divulge their personal banking details. Phishing can take several forms. For example, a fraudster claiming to be from a bank phones a customer telling them that their bank account has been accessed by a hacker. They need to change their password. They will help them to do this by giving the caller their account number and password. They are now allowed the fraudster to access their account. So please, even your bank will not even call you. What's the worst they can do? They can invite you to the nearest branch. Okay, they're not going to do that. I once watched a movie about a heist and phishing was used. Even if the customer is not at home, the fraudster will leave a message requiring them to phone a particular number, which is actually the fraudster's number. Often this phone number goes through an answered phone message asking the customer to leave their account number and other personal details. An alternative is for the phone call to notify the receiver that they have won some money or that they have won the prize. In both cases, the fraudster charged a handling or redemption fee, which they invite the person to pay by using their credit card over the phone. Sometimes the fraudster will ask the customer to hang up and phone the bank to confirm, in an effort to convince the customer that the call really is from the bank. Meanwhile, the fraudster has not disconnected the call. So when the customer thinks they are phoning the bank, they are actually still connected to the fraudster. They talk to the customer through the process of logging on the bank website, and the customer then enters the details in order to transfer money to their new account when they set up by the bank. I was watching a movie called The Magnum PI, and in one of the episodes in season 5, it was a scene there where people were scamming people. In fact, they have the whole setup, and all they were using phishing platforms and phishing platforms to just scam people. When the police or high police department got a hold of them, they were able to recover. Watch this: $92 million. People's life savings, people's hard-earned money. People have committed suicide. People have given up on their dreams. These are money for their children's tuition. Gone. I wonder if they have conscience. I wonder, what gain do they have? To fraud people of their money? Put people in poverty? This is their hard-earned money. And that's why when the police people get them arrested or they are being caught, I have no mercy for them. I have no mercy for them. Okay, because it's bad. It's bad reaping people, stealing from people. It's bad. Okay, there's no way to, in any language, in any sign, it's bad. What is bad is bad. Okay, so in order to avoid being a victim of phishing, it is a good practice to use another phone to call the bank and ask to speak with the person who just made the call. The main thing is not to give out login information over the phone, as a legitimate bank will never ask for it. We talked about this. The same information for accounts information. The basic thing for customer to remember is never give out personal information over the phone. Bank will never ask for your PIN or password. Why would they do that? Customers should hang up, ignore them, block their numbers. These are all physical methods, but smartphones have software included that can perform the blocking of numbers. Okay, if what I'm doing from next year is, at the time of this recording, is to silence numbers that I don't have their contact saved on my phone. I'm sorry, but I have to take drastic measures. If I don't have your number phone saved, you can always call me on WhatsApp. Okay, you can type me up, introduce yourself, but on a normal call, I silence your number because I'm trying to ensure that I don't fall into victims, and I'm also trying to ensure that every number that calls that rings my phone are numbers that I probably recognize. Yeah. So you can use WhatsApp, you can use Discord, and you could use Slack. Okay. To reach out to me. I think these are the official platforms that you can actually reach out. Or you can send me a mail. Okay. To my email address right there on my YouTube channel. Okay. So banks will never ask for that. They will never do that. Okay. So you can do all this. Okay. There are also a variety of apps available which go beyond mere blocking the call and keeping a file containing the block number for all phone owners using the app. Users can browse through the files to see which numbers are blocked. One software solution is employed by large organizations whereby the software can filter numbers according to likelihood that scams are being attempted. This is Truecaller for you. Truecaller can do that. So any number that is, has been deemed spammed, okay, will be on red and the call will not go through. Okay. It's important that you should be able to evaluate the prevention method described above. You need to be able to judge, watch this, the importance of each method and how likely it is to be successful. Okay, as I've mentioned earlier, there are very few effective methods of preventing pharming, but methods of preventing phishing can be very effective. And the same can be said for vishing and smishing. Malware. Malware is short for malicious software. That's what malware means. It's a short form for what? Malicious software. It's a general term for computer programs which have been created, okay, with the deliberate intention of causing damage or disruption or gaining access to a computer without the owner's what? Permission. I'm going to say it again. It is malware, which is a short term for malicious software, is a general term for computer programs which have been created with the deliberate intention of causing damage or disruption or gaining access to a computer without the owner's permission. And the types of malware, I'm going to cover all this. Okay, ranging from Trojan horses, worms, spyware, adware, rookies, malicious boots, ransomware, etc., etc. So let's talk about viruses. Virus is a type of malware that is designed to spread from one computer to another. Okay, so it's a type of malware that is designed to spread from one computer to another, usually by means of the internet, causing changes in the way computer operates as it spreads. Okay, so they have the ability, for viruses, they have the ability to replicate themselves, just like real viruses. Some type of virus will delete the data on the disk, or just corrupt the data, change the data. They can also insert themselves or attach themselves, okay, to another computer program. Okay, they look for a host. Sometimes they often lie dormant or inactive until a situation arises which will cause the computer to execute its code. The situation or event, which can be, it could be a particular time or date. Symptoms that can indicate a virus is present at the pop-up window suddenly start appearing frequently. The user homepage is changed so that it's different to what is normally displayed, or their password is different, preventing user to be able to log on. Viruses can be large numbers of emails to be sent from what, the user's email account. The computer may frequently crash, or the processing speed can be noticeably what, slowed down. So all this is viruses, are signs of your system being infected with a virus. Trojan horse. A Trojan horse is shortened to Trojan. It's also a type of malicious computer program which is used to hack into a computer. Now, it enables the person who created it to take control of the computer it has infected. The name Trojan horse is referred to an ancient Greek story in which a Greek soldier laying siege to the city of Troy hid inside a wooden horse, deceives the Trojan into thinking it was a peace offering. When the Trojan took the horse inside the city, the Greek soldier led them out and attacked, led themselves out and they got attacked. Here it is the user who is deceived into thinking they have downloaded a genuine software. Unlike computer viruses and worms, Trojan gems do not attempt to infect other files or replicate themselves. Instead, they are used for a number of purposes. The main one is being able to gain access to a computer so that the controller can discover personal data of the owner. Another purpose is to delete files from the hard disks. Trojan can also be used to corrupt the data as well. So you have to take note. Okay, so laying siege to the city of Troy. So it's just to deceive you. That's Trojan. So it's a way to hack into your computer. So they just send a genuine software like Facebook, and the moment you download that Facebook, another software is being downloaded to it. Okay, and once you install, that also software is also installing, and before you know it, they've taken hold of your laptop. Worm are similar to viruses, okay, in that they replicate what themselves. A worm will often exploit security holes in networks. That's what worm does. They exploit security holes in network in order to spread throughout the network. Sometimes their main purpose seems to be continually replicating themselves. In doing so, occupy more and more disk space until the disk is full and can no longer function. So you discover that a hard drive that is 512 has 300 gig full, and the files that you can be able to attest to just have 60 gig. So what happens to the rest? Okay, they do not attach themselves to other programs, unlike the virus. In that sense, they are sent to be a standalone program. They are designed to spread by sending many copies to other computers in the network. This can result in slowing down the traffic in the network. Some ones do not even try to change the computers they are moving to, but they are designed to occupy more and more bandwidth in their attempt to slow down a network. When worms repeatedly replicate themselves, they start to use up the free space on a computer. Okay, one symptom on a computer with a worm is that the speed and performance are reduced. Another is that the type or the amount of free storage space on the computer is noticeably reduced. Okay, files go missing or new files only appearing is another indication that a worm is present. So take note of that. Spyware. Okay, it's also type of a malicious software that is designed to collect information about a computer user activity without their knowledge. These activities talks about web browsing habits, email messages, username and password, credit card informations are passed to the hackers without the user having an idea what is happening. And one thing that is used is what we call a keylogger. A keylogger is often used. Okay, this is a type of spyware which works by collecting a record of user what keystrokes and result in the hacker receiving information about the user credit cards and other sensitive or personal data. It does not replicate like a virus or worm, but it's just there to spy on the computer. The only real indication is that the user might notice that there's a spyware on the computer is a reduction of processing power and bandwidth, since they are used by spyware to communicate information back to what the hacker. Now, the next one is hardware. When we talk about hardware, it's also a type of malicious software. Now, the main purpose is to generate income for the originator or creator of the software. It is normally downloaded with the free software without the user knowledge. It automatically generates advertisement. That's what the hardware does. Okay, it's to generate income for the creator. So once you download that software, it's going to be showing, before you do anything, there's a lot of ads. A lot of ads are generating. Okay, so when the software is open, the advertisement may appear in the interface used by the software. It also keeps tracks of the internet sites that the user visits and matches the advertisement to the type of goods and services that user appears to be interested in. It often causes unrequested advertisement to be displayed in the browser when the user accesses the internet. Okay, alternatively, the advertisement appears in pop-ups. Cynthia is 30 miles away from you. Why will Cynthia be 30 miles away from you? Why? Why will Cynthia be 30 miles? Cynthia is close by. Why will Cynthia be close by? What do you need Cynthia for? Okay, these are hard words. And okay, you're being naive, you're being curious, you click on it, you're generating income. Sometimes it could be also phishing. Okay, so you have to be careful that it doesn't, or farming rather, it doesn't take you to a fake website. So please, you have to be careful. Cynthia is not 30 miles away from you. Your laptop is about to get in serious trouble if you click on Cynthia is 30 miles away. Cynthia is close by. Well, good for you. God is also close by. Yeah, God is also close by. If Cynthia is 30 miles, God is with you. Okay, so God is not just 30 miles, God is nearby. Okay, so please, you have to be careful. Okay, so it's also a way of generating incomes to the originator or creator of the software. Okay, it can also keep track of your activities, so you have to be careful. Okay, it often causes unrequested advertisement to be displayed in your browser that can access the internet. Alternatively, they can be pop-up. Like I've said, it's regarded as a more of a nuisance than dangerous. It's not dangerous, okay, but it's just popping up. So I can generate a lot of income for the originator or creator of the software. Symptoms can be unnoticeable, but the type of hardware can slow down the performance of the computer. Why it is not dangerous? It can have an effect. It can slow down your laptop. Okay, so please, you have to be very, very careful. Okay, and there can be a tendency in recent times to the hardware to be in a spyware. So when you click on it, it has some software installed on your laptop and you are not even aware of it. Okay, and symptoms can be unnoticeable, but some type of hardware can slow down the performance of the computer and tend to be larger number than the usual pop-up. Rootkit. Let's talk about Rootkit. Now, Rootkit is a type of malicious software that is designed to install a set of tools. This is not in the O level. A set of tools in a computer which allows the attacker to have remote access to that computer continuously. It gives the attacker continuous privileged access to the computer and hides its presence deep within the operating system. The user is completely unaware that the computer has been infected. The different tools enable the attacker to discover the user passwords, credit card details. The root in the rootkit is taken from the word used in Unix and Linux system to signify the administrator account or somebody who has administrator what? Privileges. It can be downloaded in a similar way of phishing by clicking on the link within an email, or an hacker could gain administrator privileges and install it remotely. The rootkit can change the security software such as your antivirus to convince you that it's not there. It's also capable of removing the antivirus software. Yes, I have seen it. So please, you can use antivirus software to scan it and it's not going to be there. So you have to be careful. Malicious boot. Boot is short for internet robot. Yes, that's what it is. And as its name suggests, it performs tasks that are normally undertaken by humans. When used to gather information over the internet, bots are referred to as web crawlers. Without them, the smooth running of search engine, for example, will not be efficient. So they are bots. Unfortunately, there are malicious bots as well. Like a worm, a malicious bot can replicate itself. It's designed to feed back to the server called the botnet. Because it is the control of the network of infected computer, the botnet can now gather email addresses. From them, generate spam to those and other addresses. They are capable of gathering information about different websites, such as your date of birth from one site, health insurance from another site. This is what so many hackers they make use of. They use bot, malicious bot, and they have information to so many informations on your websites, on your website that you have gone that has personal details, and they get a lot of money from them. They are extremely difficult to detect on a computer because of the increased use of what? The IoT, which is botnets are becoming a grave concern because they can control networks which consists of what? Different what? Devices. This is largely because some of the devices in the IoT are relatively easy to hack into a susceptible what? To spreading of what? To both. So you have to be careful, right? It's just like worm is going to replicate itself, okay, and it's going to feed back to the what? To the server called the botnet of every information it has found on the laptop, on websites. Ransomware. Now, this type of malware, right, will block access to user data until ransom is paid. It takes hold of your computer, sends a message to your screen that you have to pay this certain amount of information, else your information on your laptop will be completely deleted. It's an alternative approach for the hackers to threaten to publish data unless a ransom is paid. Probably they have seen maybe private information, personal data on your laptop, and they use the ransomware to just tell you, see, if you don't pay, I'm going to make it public, especially if you're a public figure. Okay, so one of the most common ways of downloading ransomware is again through the phishing emails. The receiver will click on what appears to be a link to a trusted file, but once it opens the software, which can take the form of a worm or a Trojan horse, it takes control of the user computer. Among the many actions of software can perform once it has taken over the computer, the most is to encrypt the user files, so you don't have access to your computers, access to your files, and sends a message demanding ransom payment before it will decrypt it back. Okay. So we have other types of malware like fileless malware that does not rely on files and leave no evidence once it was executed. Okay, now it does not perform any action which affects the computer hard drive. It ceases to work once the system is what? Rebooted. Okay, we also have the scareware, which is the type of malware that will trick the computer into thinking that their computers have been infected with a virus. Right now, it appears as a pop-up and seems to come from a genuine antivirus provider. The user will then pay the provider to download the antivirus and then discover that it is a scam. So please, let's take note how malware is used. There are numbers of ways malware can be carried out. that can be used to carry out illegal activities. Fraud. Yes, it involves the computer to take or to alter electronic data or to gain unlawful use of a computer or system to illegally benefit financially. Scamming people on the internet, that's computer fraud. Okay, the different types of malware and generate misuse of personal data have been described. We have the spyware that can be used to collect your personal data, browsing habits, and keystroke. Okay, we have scareware. Okay, that tells you that, oh, your laptop is affected. Subscribe to ensure that it's removed, and you subscribe, and it's called a scam. We have phishing, smishing, farming, which is intended to divulge your password. Ransomware as well. So take note of that. Industrial espionage. Okay, one definition of industrial espionage is spying directed towards discovering the secret of a rival manufacturer or industry company. People do it. You want to get your rival's information so you could use it on them to trade secret. It can be carried out by getting an employee to work for a rival company and spy from the inside. It's now more common carried out by hacking into database or computer networks. Malware has become a major tool in industrial cyber espionage. Okay, with the purpose of stealing information in the form of company secret. There are people who work with other companies, and what they do is to steal informations about their rival's company. Okay, install softwares on them, pretending that and then they resign, and you wouldn't have known what have happened. Okay, malware can be used to access an employee computer and the computer information it holds. So please, you have to be very careful. Okay, we talked about intellectual property theft in the US alone, which is estimated to cost company hundreds of billions of dollars per year. Certain countries have been held responsible for these activities, but more private companies are now getting involved in this type of espionage. Group of hackers are offering their services to hire for millions of dollars. Some are actually hacking into a computer secret and offering the information they have gathered to the highest bidder. Okay. Sabotage. The term computer sabotage refers to making deliberate attacks which are intended to cause computers or network to cease to function properly. Okay, the idea is that businesses, okay, or education establishment or other organizations are attacked in order to ensure that their normal operations are disrupted. This is also happening in the US, and they have lost a lot of billions of dollars to computer sabotage. Okay, and this has happened with a great deal of in the hospitals. The networks are being tampered with, and you have to spend a lot of money to ensure that this is done. Okay, so please let's take note of that. Consequences for organizations and individuals. Malware poses a major threat to any organization. Yes. It can ruin the organization's secret arrangement regarding its computer network. As a result, it can disturb its business operation, leading to financial losses. Personal information can be accessed, leading to identity theft. Okay. Some organizations, particularly banks, have to pay out a great deal of money in the form of compensation where personal data has been stolen. The three main implications of malware for organizations are the loss of data, the time, and the cost it incurs. So please let's take note of that. If a virus has infected one's computer right here on the network, each computer has to be disconnected from the network and cleansed by an antivirus software to remove the viruses. Each computer must be clean of viruses before being reconnected to the network. Please, this is very, very important. Prevention of malware. How do we prevent malware? We talked about antiviruses must ensure all data is scanned for malicious code as it enters the computer network. Okay, now A firewall which filters incoming traffic and prevents malicious software entering the system. Okay? Now, should be used on all external entry points to the network. So, firewalls are what? They filter incoming and outgoing or traffic. Antiviruses, these are the preventions. So, filter is one. Two, antiviruses, software must be kept up to date, running at all times, which can schedule. You can schedule it maybe 3 times to run on frequent intervals. Okay, only one antivirus program should be run at a time, as 2 different programs may conflict with each other. So you have to take note of that. Anti-malware softwares can be used. It may be different to antivirus software, although these days the difference are becoming blurred. Anti-malware software can protect network computers in 2 ways. It can guard against the entry malware into a network. It can also remove malware that have managed to get into the computer's network system. Physical method of prevention. What are the physical methods of prevention? Companies are advised to develop and implement anti-malware policies and ensure that they are consistently applied across the organizations. A record should be kept of any known malicious websites, which should be blocked by the firewall from accessing the network. Dedicated standalone virus checking computers should be equipped with antivirus softwares, okay, which should be provided. Okay, we should be able to run any type of scan. All employees should be educated so that they understand the risk for malware and are aware of the day-to-day procedures they should follow to prevent malware infection. They should be encouraged to stop and think before clicking on links. Don't just click on any link you see. You can't send me on any link and I'm going to click on it. No. But if they do, they should inform the IT department as soon as possible. They should know that they may not connect any removable media or personal owned device to the network. They need to be aware so they can report any strange or unexpected system behavior to a technician or member of the IT department. Okay. Finally, good advice to both organizations and individuals is that operating systems and browser softwares should be kept up to date. Software that is no longer used or old versions of application software should be removed. If a software is no longer supported by the software company, then it should be open to malware attacks. Any software that is no longer supported by the software company is open. That I talked about Windows 7. Okay, the update has been totally discontinued. No update on it. Email should be read with suspicion, since encouraging the user to download malware only works if the user is not paying sufficient attention to to who sent the email, and it might be suggested. In phishing section, the things to look out for were described in details. Grammar, spellings of grammars, the sender address, okay, the true address of the link, and so on. Finally, strong password should be used. That is one that is unique, a strong password. Okay, it should be changed often, and it should not be related to any form of personal information. Please, websites should have appropriate padlocks next to URL. I've shown you right here in this class, and users should always log off from their computers at the end of the section. Students don't do this. I'm going to tell you a story before I go. One of my students back then used a public laptop to access a financial account and forgot to log off. In fact, I've seen a story where somebody used a friend's phone to access our financial records or to carry out a financial transaction and forgot to log off. You cannot trust people with these things. Please always log off from even your own computers after the end of the session. Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I want to talk about a very important YouTube channel called Ajiro Tech. Trust me, this YouTube channel is a giveaway. It's loaded with IGCSE, ICT, O-level, AS and A level. So trust me, you is a giveaway. This channel is helpful for your group studies, your personal studies, and it has a proven track record of producing excellent results. So do me a favor, click on the subscribe button, okay, and share this YouTube channel with your friend. Trust me, that will be the best gift that you're giving to them. Thank you very much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.